With the release of the 2014 Forester XT, Subaru is claiming to have put the sport back in sport utility vehicle. Now, forgetting for a second the fact this is actually a crossover and not an SUV, it's hard not to be skeptical. Sure, it's got a turbocharged engine, but can the boxy Forester really be sporty?
So to see just how sporty the Forester really is, we thought we'd pit it against Subaru's own sports car, the BRZ. Hey Colin, think that family box can keep up? Both the Forester and the BRZ use Subaru's new 2-liter direct injection horizontally opposed 4-cylinder engine. In the BRZ, it is naturally aspirated and only makes 200 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. There are 2 transmission choices for the BRZ, the 6-speed manual we have and an optional 6-speed automatic. Both are sportier options than the weak sauce Forester's CVT. With the 6-speed manual transmission, the BRZ is rated at 22 miles per gallon city and 30 miles per gallon highway. Our BRZ is the fully loaded limited model and came in at $28,265 after destination charges.
Using the same 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, the Forester XT borrows a turbocharger to make a total of 250 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque. Now it comes exclusively with a CVT transmission and of course makes it to the ground using a version of Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. That gives it a unique advantage. At best, the BRZ is about a 6.5 second 0 to 60 time and a 15-second quarter mile. Compare that to this Forester, which is rated to 60 miles per hour in just 6.2 seconds and a quarter mile time in a pretty shocking 14.6 seconds. Fuel economy is rated at 23 miles per gallon in the city and 28 on the highway, though don't expect to get that in the real world. Pricing starts at $28,820, whereas the touring model is $33,820.
The BRZ doesn't just look the part of a proper sports car, but comes equipped with all the right pieces. It has summer tires, it's rear-wheel drive, has a limited slip differential, is manual, has a well-balanced chassis, low center of gravity, sport bucket seats, and if all that weren't enough, there's even a little marker in the center of the dash that Subaru has put there so you know where the middle of the car is in relation to the road.
So what makes the Subaru Forester XT sporty, or at least what's supposed to? Well, for starters, there are sport modes you can access with buttons on the steering wheel, along with about 25 other buttons, I might add. First, there's that sport mode, which improves throttle response and gives you 6 preset gears through the CVT transmission, and you can access that with the paddle shifters. Then there is the sport sharp mode, or should I say hashtag, and that will give you 8 preset gears. Other upgrades over the standard Forester include a sport tune suspension and larger 18-inch wheels with lower profile tires measuring 225, 55, 18. Oh, and let's not forget the engine. With all that torque, 100 foot-pounds more than the BRZ, available from just 2,000 RPM.
Going into this comparison, we knew there was no way the Forester would be as sporty as the BRZ, but we were hoping some of the BRZ's driving DNA would find its way into the Forester XT. The BRZ features otherworldly steering, and I don't know if the feel could be any better even if my arms could reach out and turn the wheels at the hubs. It may be down on power, but the engine really does come to life in the higher RPMs, and being a sports car, of course the chassis is well balanced. Combine that with the great steering, and this vehicle will change directions very quickly, something you can't say about the Forester. This does, however, come at the expense of ride comfort. This vehicle is quite bumpy on rough roads. Hell, it's not even that smooth on decent roads.
So what of the Subaru BRZ's sporty character has been infused into the Forester XT? Well, as it turns out, nothing really. And are you actually surprised? After all, this is a crossover, and it's a pretty square one at that. And it's also really heavy. It weighs 3,600 pounds, which is 300 pounds more than the regular Forester, and it actually weighs 800 pounds more than the Subaru BRZ. And so much for the sport tune suspension. This car has a lot of lean in the corners and even around town feels pretty wobbly. Unlike the BRZ, there are no well-bolstered sport seats in the Forester, In fact, quite the opposite. These things are extremely flat, and when coated in leather like this one, when you go around a corner real hard, you gotta hang on because you feel like you're just gonna slide right out the window. As I already mentioned, the car does have one particularly sporty attribute, and that's the engine. It's got lots of torque, and you can really feel it, especially in those sport modes. It's a lot of fun to just get on, you just feel the power come right away, and you can actually hear that turbo spooling up too, which is pretty cool. Plus, thanks to a special X mode that delivers superior grip even in slippery conditions, unlike the BRZ, you can take this car out on dirt roads or trails, and it can still put the power down. Still, despite the Forester XT's handling drawbacks, it does make significantly more power than the BRZ. So we just could not resist taking both cars to the track to see if the roly-poly Forester could overcome those drawbacks with sheer power.
Unfortunately for the Forester, it could not. Our Hot Shoe driver was only able to record a lap time of 130.9, which was over 4 seconds slower than the BRZ's lap time of 126.8.
It really is too bad that Subaru couldn't put more sport into the Forester XT. Now, don't get me wrong, it's actually a solid crossover, but it's just not that sporty. And not just compared to the BRZ either, even against its regular set of competitors. With all that power, it would be great if it had some of the BRZ's steering feel, chassis balance, or handling characteristics.
Or better yet, maybe Subaru should spend their time taking this engine and stuffing it under the hood of the BRZ.
For more on this car comparison and others like it, visit AutoGuide.com.
Maybe Subaru should take the Forester's engine and stuff it under the hood of the BRZ.
Do it now!
Please do it!